So what are we looking at here? We're looking at risking $9,000 to make 990,000 with a higher than 50% chance of winning. My friend, I will take that any day. Hello, everybody. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you're excited. Things are starting to get pretty exciting in the crypto space. I think everybody that is on the PulseChain network has every reason right now to be very hopeful because of what is happening with ETH. ETH has just broken some levels that we've been playing with since February of 2024, and that is important. So now it's making a push for the all-time high, and it is just looking like it is doing a straight push to go and break it. Today, we're going to talk about that excitement. We're going to talk about what it means for the treasury. You know your boy, we got to do some moon math, so we're going to get into that. And we're actually going to talk about some skeptics, some comments that I saw on X that we're going to be addressing. So today is going to be very exciting. Let's go. So as we said, ETH broke $4,250. And you know what that means? The treasury is swelling. So right now it's in profit over $80 million. Look at it right there. It's at 84.6 million right now. $712 million in the SAC wallets. This number is amazing. So I just want to use it to do a little bit of moon math, and we're just going to go crazy, right? Let's put all the 80 million in there. What happens? So with 0% sell pressure, of course, that will never happen. I said that before. But Hex, $14.5. That is a 1,116x. If there was 50% sell pressure, $3.83. So that's just under 300x. And if there was 75% sell pressure, which is more likely to be the case, and you dumped all that 80 million into Hex, then you're at Hex over $1. But you know what the naysayers say, this is all just fugazi. None of that is going to go back into Pulse. So I just want to look at some of the skeptics, what they're saying. Look at this. So he thinks it's a carrot, right? RH is just dangling it in front of the community to get them hyped up. So we have the hope that one day RH is going to come back and pump the bags. And he says the fact that ETH is over 4K now, whoopee, and Pulse is only 50% of SAC, so Pulse is still down, and Hex is only at 1.2 cents, says it all. Well, my friend, you're not wrong. Nobody has assurance that any of these things are going to work their way back into Pulse, right? But the question is, could it? Does RH have a track record of doing things like that? Has there been some mysterious massive wallets that have shown up in RH products in the past and have just dumped millions into it? The answer is yes. So I don't think it's unreasonable for people to think that this might at some point work its way back into the mix. I think it is a very reasonable assumption to have. But as you're saying, sure, it is not set in stone. But on your last point, so the fact that ETH is over 4K, Pulse is still down, Hex only at 1.2 says it all. What I'm hearing there is you're expecting them to move together. But historically, is that what happened? Let's take a look. Back in the last bull run, so ETH had two tops. So the first one was here. So in May of 2021, and then it corrected and did another top in November of 2021. Hex topped in September of 2021. So this is when Ethereum was having its first top. Right now, Ethereum is making a run to break its all-time high. It hasn't got to its first top yet. I don't know if there's going to be multiple tops. I don't know what's going to happen, but it's just clearly there's a lag effect between the price of Ethereum and Hex. At least that's what we've seen in the past. I'm thinking Ethereum is probably going to break this, come back, and then do something else. Nobody knows what's going to happen, but I don't think anybody is expecting to see them move together because that's not what has happened in the past. So now, if in the past there has been a lag and you're saying that Pulse is only 50% of SAC, which is correct, and Hex is only at 1.2 cents, which is also correct, that to me sounds like a opportunity. Look at the price of Pulse. So this is the line that we're looking to break through. So for the past 2 years, we have been fighting with this line. It is going to be interesting to see what happens to the price once we start moving out of it. And Hex has been in this weird accumulation phase for the past 2 years. Now what happens when it breaks through this, nobody knows, but I'm very hopeful. Let's get back to the skeptics. This guy says, unfortunately, he is never going to rotate into Pulse. Again, I say never is a strong word. As I said before, we have seen massive wallets that have rotated into RH products and done ridiculous things. There is one particular address in the early days of Hex that 10x the price of Hex, and Hex never went back below that price again. This is not something that is foreign to the Richard Heart ecosystem. The people who are looking at this address and thinking that this number is going to end up playing a massive role in the success of the PulseChain ecosystem have very good reason for thinking so. It is true, we do not know what RH is going to do, but if the past is any indication, we know that he is very passionate about the things that he builds, and there seems to be these massive wallets that come out of nowhere that just really like buying his stuff. I really like this guy RH Max, and I think he put it beautifully. He said Richard Heart came from nothing, he got rich, he found crypto, he built Hex, he launched PulseChain. You think he's just going to stop now? That does not make sense. It does not follow his pattern. I'm in full agreement with this guy. I think what you need to consider when you're looking at this Pulse Treasury, as some people have come to call it, when you are thinking about this and how it could relate to the PulseChain ecosystem, Hex especially, I think it becomes a game of probability. Is there a chance that we get some buybacks from that massive stack of ETH? For that, you need to look at past behavior and decide for yourself if that is probable or not. If it is, what is the upside if we do, and what is the downside if we don't? You look at that and then you decide. Now, what are the chances that we get these buybacks? I would say higher than 50% because that is something that has been seen before in the past. What is the upside if we do? Look, let's go back. I showed you these numbers. This is with 80 million. Ethereum has not even reached its all-time high yet. We don't know how high this thing is gonna go. This stack could be worth hundreds of millions at some point. Look at these numbers with just 80 million thrown back in there with 75% sell pressure, not to talk of the massive marketing campaign that will bring in a lot more eyeballs and a lot more capital. I think this right here, 50 to 100x, is actually conservative. That is what I think if these buybacks actually happen. Last cycle, Hex did 233x. Okay, so 50 to 100x might even be conservative. Now, what is the downside if we don't? Let's say we are completely wrong and this actually doesn't do anything and we end up just going back and losing about 50 to 90% of your value. Okay, so now we know the downside, we know the upside. So this is my thought process. If you have $10,000 in, your upside is $1 million if you get that 100x. So there's a higher than 50% chance that we do get some activity from that massive stack of ETH. And if that happens, your upside, $1 million. Okay. Now let's say that you're wrong and it doesn't happen. What is your downside? Absolute downside, you lose 90% of your 10,000 and you're back at $1,000. You lost $9,000. That is not pleasant, but it is also not the end of the world. So what are we looking at here? We're looking at risking $9,000 to make $990,000 with a higher than 50% chance of winning. My friend, I will take that any day.